Welcome to part number 19, Dubstep Glitch Hop Power Course. I'm Tom Cosm, and we are working on the intro in this part. Now I'm getting ahead, nearly got a tune done. So this particular intro, the first thing I want to do is I want to create a build-up sound, something that builds up into this first drop here. So this is where it's going to start. You see we've got our locator point that says intro. We want something to build up over these 16 bars. So I'm going to create a new MIDI clip here. Actually, no, let's create it up here where all the drums are. So I'm just going to select the bottom thing on my drums group. Remember, this is all grouped up into one. So I'm going to select the toms, do Command-Shift-T for a new MIDI track, and we'll call this build one. The reason I'm including it in the drums is, I don't know, I consider build-ups to be kind of a percussive thing. It's just how I mentally tend to group things together. So I like to keep it all structured. So let's load up our operator. Now I'm going to do two types of build-ups. The first one is going to be one which has kind of a note that pitches up. So let's select this whole area, Command-Shift-M to insert a MIDI clip. Let's open it up and let's chuck in a D, because we're working in D minor. Let's play that. Quite boring so far. Now let's go into the operator, let's go into the global area and change the pitch shift to 12. So I want this build, I want to pitch shift this note up and up, so it's going to go up and up and up and rise. And I want it to be 12 semitones, because remember that's an octave, so if we pitch it all the way, it'll go from a D to a D. And of course, we can pitch it from -12 all the way up to the top. So remember, I just opened up my MIDI clip, went into my envelopes mode and clicked on pitch bend. So now this will pitch bend all the way up. Yeah, that's kind of progressing. Now, what should we do first? Let's just EQ8 it and let's get rid of the bass, because that's just going to get really annoying. And let's turn the LFO on. So remember, by default, LFO is set to the pitch of destination A, B, C, and D. So this will wobble the pitch, bring the rate up so it goes faster. Now that amount's quite a good fun one to play with here. So I'm going to leave the amount down, and then about halfway through the note, let's start bringing it up and up and up, like so. And let's start the rate wobbling, I don't know, about halfway of the knob. And let's also increase the wobble rate. So let's have a listen to that. It's going to take a wee while to get into it. I shall have some coffee. See the amount coming up. Bring the rate up a bit more so it starts going really fast. Let's have the rate drop right at the end, see what happens. That's pretty cool. Let's put let's make it a sine wave, so it's a lot. Sorry, a saw, so it's a lot busier. What I'm going to do is just open up this clip. You see how we've got one big long note? Let's just shorten that down so it's a 1 bar long, and just Command D, duplicate it over and over. We can select an area and duplicate an area. This is just because it means we can start it anywhere. Because we had a long MIDI note, if we try to start playing it here, it's not going to play because the start signal of that note isn't going to play, so it'll just be silent. But we're doing it this way. We don't have any envelopes on the pitch or the filter, so what we do have is the restart on the LFO, so we need to turn that off. And now that just means it's just going to... Let's turn the filter on, and let's have the frequency right down. I want to do that. So, best way to do that, because the LFO is already occupying the pitch, let's go into record mode. Okay, so what we can do now is if I hit play on here, hang on, make sure this is not armed. If this is armed, it's going to record over the notes that we've done. So turn this off. Just scroll up and down, make sure there's no other red dots covered. Just you don't want to over record something you don't want to. So now if we hit record here, push play and mess with the parameter, it's going to record that line for us. So it could work. It's a bit offensive. Maybe let's put a reverb after it, give it a nice kind of soft edge to it. Just leave it how it is. let's open it up, go into notes mode, select all the notes, bring them down an octave by pushing shift down. We've got little pops in between those two little notes that I did. I think one way we could get rid of that is if we go into the envelope of the oscillator that's producing the tone and give it quite a lot of release. So this is when the note's finished playing, which is at this point here. It's still going to continue on playing it for a certain amount of time, and it's going to fade out depending on this curve. So, but we still get the pop. So that's probably from the start of the note. So let's bring the attack up. Okay, that's not working for me, so forget everything I just said. Apparently I'm a certified trainer. We'll just extend that note to be long when we're finished with it. Great. Now let's use an effect that has one of those phasing effects. Remember on the auto filter, for example, if we turn the LFO up, we've got this phasing at 180%, which means it'll phase it from left to right in each ear differently, which will give it a kind of a cool effect. Maybe if we choose a notch. Now let's try something. Let's try the phaser. That's a cool one because that's got an LFO with a phasing amount too. So just bring the frequency and the feedback up a bit. Bring the rate right down. And we can automate that rate to go faster as well. That could be quite cool. I'm going to bring the dry wet down just so it's not so intense. So I don't like that rate getting faster, so let's just get rid of that. Okay, we're dragging on here. So that's build number 1. Let's just roll with that for now. I'm going to create a new build. We'll call this build number 2. Again, a MIDI track. And this one's going to be much simpler. Let's open up another operator. And I want to start this one here. So let's insert a MIDI clip. I'll pick D again, but it's not really going to matter. And that is because instead of using a wave shape, sine or a saw or whatever, we're going to be using wave shape. I'm going to use this one called noise, white. And I'm just going to turn it down because it's quite loud. So if I play this, you just get white noise. Doesn't matter. Whoop. Turn this off, Tom. This is my little macro machine. So this is just excuse me. So that's just going to play white noise. No matter what note you have there, it's just going to play white noise because white noise is random. So let's put and I'm just going to use this very simply. First I'm going to EQ it because white noise covers a lot of the spectrum. So I'm going to get rid of, well, we don't need the bass for a start. So pick that first pole, turn it on high pass, bring it down. Just a taste. That's all good. And then we'll bring in an auto filter, bring the frequency down and just insert some automation points so that white noise just slowly sneaks up. Very simple. Maybe not have the frequency so low down at the start, just so we've got at least can hear it a little bit. Okay, that's sounding cool. So we'll just keep those two build ups for now. Next thing I want to do is I'm going to create a little pad sound. So new MIDI trick down under synth 1. We'll call this synth 2. Let's make it orange again. And so as usual, load in an operator, and I'm going to use a saw wave here. Saw waves are kind of, they're nice for pads. Let's just chuck in, we'll put in a 2-bar loop, so MIDI clip there. Let's put in a D minor chord. Again, D minor chord is D, F, and A. Select all, make sure they're all the right length. Bring the volume down, it's going to be quite loud. So as usual, first thing I'm going to do, EQ8 it, get rid of the lows because it's just going to sound muddy. Good reverb. Give it quite a bit of wet. Great. Now we need a beat. I'm going to do something more with that pad in a sec, but we're going to load in a beat. Now what we can do is we can select the whole track, so drums for example, and we can right click and we can duplicate the whole thing. So it's given us 2 copies of it. Now you've got to be careful because 2 copies will mean it'll play twice as loud. So I'm going to delete all of the content for this drums too. We should call this drums. We'll call it drums intro. And now I'm just going to copy this first clip and paste it over here. So, and if I loop this out, it's not set to be a loop, so we need to go into the clip and loop it, drag it out. So now we have exactly the same drum beat over the intro. But I want to do something to these drums, so just so they're a bit different. So when it does actually drop, there's the main drums have quite an impact. So let's I mean the obvious way is to filter it. I mean we could load up an EQ8, bring down frequencies. Well, let's use an auto filter just because it's got that LFO. So here's an auto filter. Bring the phasing down. We don't want that. Put it on a bandpass. That's quite cool. So let's bring the LFO up and let's turn it on to beat sync mode. So this is wobbling up and down, add a shape of a sine wave, add a 6/16 notes. Let's try quarter notes. Let's put a EQ8 after this just to get rid of all the bass as usual. So low pole, high pass. Let's change the shape of the LFO on the filter to a ramp up. Let's make the rate a bit longer, say half a bar. Not bad. Let's try a ramp down. Let's try ramp up again. Let's try a whole bar. That's sounding pretty good. Now, what I wanted to do is, with this pad down here, remember before in one of the bass lines we used the sidechaining on a gate. So that, of course, when something else was playing, specifically a MIDI track, this is the... where are we here? Yeah, this one here. So when this bass line had finished playing, the reverb get gated by this particular MIDI track. Now I want to do the same thing here with the pads, but instead of using the sidechain on the gate, let's use an auto filter, which also has a sidechain. So the gate, the auto filter, the compressor have sidechains. Now this one's quite interesting. So I'm just going to solo the synth track for you for a sec. So I'll turn sidechaining on. I'll take the audio from drums intro. And remember, we can choose whether we want it to be post effects or pre effects. This is, do you want to listen to the signal before your effects, or do you want to listen after? So after would be that filter that we just did and some EQing. Pre effects means it just listens to it raw. So if I choose pre, you can see we've got a signal coming through here. Let's bring this down here. If we bring this envelopes amount up, this signal that's getting fed into it from this drums intro is going to kind of push this frequency up and down, which is a really nice little feature. So let's have a listen. Let's bring the attack down in the release. This is how quickly it happens. This is how quickly it goes away. Bring these down so it's quite sharp. Let's put that before the reverb. Bring the dry wet down a bit. Of course, you can push the gain to get heaps more push. I quite like that. Now, I want to put a gate after it as well. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to open up the sidechain, take it from the drums intro, pre-effects. And let's bring this down. Bring the attack and the release down as well. It's not quite working how I want. Maybe if we put the gate before the filter. Turn the filter off for a sec. What's happening over here? Should be getting... Let's just see what happens. I'm just going to put the the original drums there. Let's get it from the original drums. We're here, right? Drums. It's not quite working how I want, so we might just leave that because it's not sounding good, which happens. Let's turn that gate off. Give it a bit more resonance. Turn the reverb back on. Now, one interesting thing we can do here is if we put a simple delay, let's say after the auto filter, so the delay, it's got a left and right chain, so it's going to delay it from 4/16 notes on the left, 6 on the right. That's all good, but let's link these together. So now left and right are just going to play whatever this is. I'm just going to leave this on 2. And you see how the feedback's at 0%, so it's only going to play one delay. Because there's no feedback, it's only going to play one of the delays. If we have it completely dry, let's bring this down. Let's bring the gain up. But if we bring the dry wet up to 100%, it's pretty much delaying it by 2/16 notes or an 1/8 note. So that's quite cool because now this is going to be a little bit different pattern in the drums, hopefully. If we make this a band. That's quite cool. See how I brought that gain up and it's intensifying the way that the sidechain is affecting the frequency. So let's play with that. Let's bring this down and have it slowly coming up. That's quite cool. Just quickly go back to that simple delay. Just the way it works is again, because there's zero feedback, it's just delaying once. So if I have 100% wet, that's 100% of the delayed signal. It's not going to play what it's being fed. It's going to play the single delay, which is at 2/16 notes or an 1/8 note after it. So that's why it's just delaying it slightly to the drums. I like that. Now let's do just something funny with the drums. Just an idea. Let's put a reverb on the drums. Let's go lots of decay, maximum wet. So it should just be a chaotic mess. We can bring the drums down. Let's bring that decay time down over time to, say, bar number 9. See, I just used the pen tool to change the size value. By clicking on the size, this line is now changing the size value. Let's have that slowly come down bit by bit. I find when you do a clean sweep of the size value, it's constantly trying to change the size of the room, and you get these weird clips like that. Can you hear those pops? So that's why I'm using the pen tool to do absolute Cool, so let's go dry wet. So click on that, let's get the dry wet down to 0% there. And I think that would be a good opportunity to introduce, let's go Command Shift T, a new MIDI track. We'll call this drums intro 2. So something, just a really short, snappy little beat, something different to this. So we'll use our drum rack again. Kapow. And let's just put in a single, well, that's 2 bars, we'll make it 1 bar long, length 1 bar, drag it out. And let's go back into our samples here. Old mate samples, individual drum hits. So let's just find a kick, something a bit weird. Oh, that'll do. I'm gonna mess with these samples a little bit just to make them so they don't sound like normal drums. There's a snare. What do we got? Let's just use that one short. And we'll use one cymbal. Ride cymbals. Let's use that one. So let's go into our clip. Make sure we put the groove on it. Let's make these really short, so it's not really, it's kind of something just to give you a bit of a rhythm. Now let's go into that snare drum. If I double click on it, we can transpose it up. Maybe we can make it a bit longer if we transpose it up. Let's put that right in. And let's add one more. There was that second ride. Let's chuck that in just for a bit of variation on the cymbals too. Let's go into that snare. Let's chuck in. Remember we have our filter delay trick, which will chuck it over there. Turn off the middle one. It will spread it to the left and right. Turn the sync off, so they're left and right like that. Give it a bit of space. Well, you know work. That's because I put it on the cymbal. Just drag that back over onto the snare. If we change the length of the snare. We could do an interesting thing where we turn loop mode on, so it's going to loop back and forward there. We need that bong tom roll. That would sound good there. Not right there. Right there. And let's delete this and let's just make our own new one. That's kind of cool actually. I just put those in there so we can move them around. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that snare there, in the drums here. Let's put in a new audio track, and let's just put in a really chunky snare on that offbeat. So we just have to find ourselves a good one. We're nearly there. Maybe that one. And what we could do is we could duplicate it, double click it, reverse it. So it goes. Let's listen from the start. And now we have the breakdown, which will be the next one. The next one will do the breakdown leading up to the second drop, and then we'll do the outro, because the outro only takes us like 2 or 3 minutes, and then we're done. Holy shit balls. Cool, TomCosm.com. That was part number 19.